Hello, everyone. This is Chala Dinkoy, CEO and founder of the Repositioning Expert, coming to you live with another Tuesday Tea Time with Chala. Oh my gosh, it is so late in the day, which it's only like 4:30. Normally, it's 3:30 for Tuesday Tea Time. But look at like the lighting, because even though I have like lighting, it's so late, and of course the hours have rolled back, and it does not look good here. It looks like lots of shadows back here. It looks like shadows here, but we're going to try to get through this because this is interesting stuff for me. For me, of course, I'm doing it, and this is good stuff. So, buyer trust. When I was a buyer for Pepsi, Pizza Hut, Frito-Lay for 18 years, when I was pitched to death, it was really hard to earn my trust. One, because I had seen 1,000 of them, right? And I was just so jaded. And it wasn't just me, it was all of my colleagues, anybody who was being pitched to and sold to. And breaking a buyer's trust with your content, with your messaging, with your marketing is super easy. So it's in fact really hard to get their trust and become a trusted brand and become sort of valued as a vendor, whether they're doing business with you at that moment or not. Because once you're on their radar, just visibility, showing up and throwing up doesn't help. And statistics back me up with this. Anyway, I forgot to take my protein. I forgot to take a sip. I have to refresh the protein with like hot water because it gets like sludge at the bottom of it. Probably a little bit more information that you needed. Okay. So there was a trust marketing index survey done by a tech company called Informa this year. And they concluded that the content, which is your messaging. So content is, what's on your website, what's in your elevator pitch, what's in your articles, what are you blogging about, what's in your social media, what is your content saying, and how do you lose trust with your messaging and your content, the content messaging with B2B buyers. So this is a B2B study. And they determined that 71% of B2B buyers are disappointed. That's like the majority, it's almost 3/4, with the value of the content that they're getting. And in fact, it's this disappointment is turning into lost sales. And why? Because disappointed buyers means ignored messages, means you can't get in the door to buyers' meetings with them, means wasted millions on messaging, marketing, all those people working to crank out your messaging, and or you yourself as a business owner, whatever you're doing and saying to sell and market is not working because it is breaking the buyer's trust. As a former buyer and as somebody who works with companies to get them in front of buyers and who successfully gets them to open those doors and share their pain and allow them to share the solution, and then to finally close the sale, I can tell you a couple of things. So the first thing that used to break my trust right away would make me push you right away into the I don't need to talk to these guys anymore column, would be the I do everything for everyone. If you're not niched, if you are not a specialist in any one thing, any one industry, any one problem, it's really hard for me to take you seriously and for me to trust you. In fact, in this last research that I'm talking about, 42% of buyers said content was too generic. And I can take that further to say that content also encompasses your elevator pitch, your copy on your website, your everything that you're saying and doing, your pitch emails, your pitch decks, or they're just too generic. They're talking to everyone about everything, saying that you can solve a multitude of problems for a multitude of different sizes and industry of companies and groups of people. That's not going to work. That never used to work for me. And it's obviously still not working, even though I haven't been in the corporate buying position for the last 12 years. I've been having my own business, but it's still the same. Okay. So when you don't look like an expert in any one thing, you're generic. So instead, so here's an example I gave of a client. Instead of saying I'm a leadership coach, which is just about every leadership coach says I'm an executive coach, I'm a leadership coach, why don't you blog about or call yourself I'm a decision making coach in the manufacturing industry, which is exactly what one of my clients and I niched her into. So, number two of how to break a buyer's trust with your messaging is be me too, meaning say and do everything that everybody else in your industry is saying and doing out there. And a lot of companies, in the absence of an actual marketing strategy and a messaging communication strategy, they are clueless about what to say to reach out to clients and how to get them to talk to them. And so all of their marketing and sales collateral and emails and voicemails and their scripts are exactly what they used to do at another company in around the same realm. So the problem with that is 86% of buyers can't tell the difference between two suppliers who do the same thing. This is a stat that I've been quoting for years and years and years because it is still true. And the reason for that is because you look and sound the same as everybody else. Now, what is a differentiator, especially in commoditized industries like staffing or IT or realty brokerage or mortgage brokerage, financial advising, any of these, just like there's just so much competition. It's so saturated, marketing companies. There's just no differentiation. And the way that I teach differentiation, the way that I teach you to create content and positioning that is not me too is one, you can do it through super niching by addressing a very specific industry's very specific one facet of their pain. And the other way to do it is through personal branding, which is owning a personal, like a brand character and having a characteristic that is very different, very distinct. And one of the examples that I always give in the B2B world is the mortgage mom. And, she's like your mom. She knows exactly what you need for a mortgage. And nobody ever forgets the mortgage mom. So it's very, very personality and personal brand and brand character driven. So those are the two options that you have. But just when you are so me too, you're saying and doing exactly what everybody else is doing and you're blending, and you lose a buyer's trust because they're just not going to bring you in. They're not even going to grant you a meeting with their team, their buying team, their committee, or their boss. An example that I gave was I'm a lead gen expert for coaches, consultants, and trainers. And for whatever reason, I'm being targeted for this because obviously it says that I'm a coach on my social media, but I couldn't help, just even today, just doing this, preparing for this, couldn't help but notice how many coaching programs are set up for coaches, consultants, and trainers. Like lead gen funnels and coaches, and it's overwhelming. In my Instagram stories alone, there are so many ads that I think it was like every second story is an ad, and they're all saying the same thing. Some guys have a big house behind them, some guys are in a flashy like leather jacket, other guys have like a jet behind them, other ladies have, they're wearing flashy jewelry. Others are very, it's just like 1,000 of them that they're all saying the same thing. Some of them are speaking fast, some of them are speaking slow. But the ones that I take note are the ones that are very, very niched, and they are very targeted, and they do only one thing, and they do it for only one industry of people. And those are the ones that are actually getting the traction. So instead of saying I'm a lead gen expert for coaches, consultants, and trainers, which is what I do, is I help companies actually get leads. But the way that I position myself is that I help reposition diverse certified businesses to land more corporate meetings. And the reason why I went after the repositioning is the reason why, and if you watched last week's live, the reason why people can't get leads is because they're not positioned properly, because they don't know who to target and exactly what to specialize in. And because they're not differentiated and they're not focused, they are saying exactly the same as everybody else. And that's what the Me Too is. And that's the exact problem that you're having in breaking trust with buyers, because they just don't have the time to listen to what every other person is saying, including you. So you have to be different. Okay. Number 3 is that the thing that breaks a buyer's trust, believe it or not, is selling in your content. Now, the reason why you do content is so you can sell, but that's not true. The reason why you do content is so you can gain their trust, you can educate, and you can form an authority in the eyes of your target. So it's a two-pronged approach because the selling is actually through educating, and the content is created to position you. It's not directly to sell you. So a third of the buyers stop trusting when sales pitch comes first in the content. So you have to be so careful, like a third, right? They're totally turned off right off the bat. So avoid education to ambush. So I call it the bait and switch, right? We don't want to do that. Now, how do you actually provide content that doesn't break trust, that actually provides value? And there's stats around gated. So the gated content is when you, somebody who wants that information is willing to exchange their personal email address, phone number, name, their personal information to be able to get it. So for example, when I give away my book, it's online. It's at repositioner.com/gift or /book. And you have to trade your information. And then that puts you into a funnel where you're actually in my mailing list database. So the gated versus the ungated, people are expecting a lot more bang for their name or to trade their information when it's gated. But statistics prove over and over that the buyers are losing trust because they're being hit with sales pitches in these gated or even ungated free content, which doesn't do anything to add value to them. So how do you add value and without selling? So I'm going to tell you that I do sell, but here's how I do it. I show examples of people who are in the same pain, in the same industry, and how I helped overcome that pain. So I don't give them the how, I give them top lines of the how, and I give them the what. So I give them what is the problem, top lines of how do you overcome the problem, and what is the result. So show examples. I give data. This is content that I'm providing for you right now, and it's building a buyer's trust because I'm giving you very recent, fresh data that is new every week. I do the research. I look for really timely topics, and I give you what can help you, internally within your sales departments, in your marketing departments, or even if you're doing the selling yourself. Teach and demo or talk about the demo. So one thing that I do in all of my presentations is I actually demonstrate how I reposition a company's messaging. I do this on stage. I do this on my podcast. I've done it on virtual summits. I've done it in educational programs. I demo, or I actually talk about case studies. If there's no demo opportunity, if there's no interaction opportunity, I talk about it in all my content. So that's how you demonstrate value. Then what I do is, in order to include the sales pitch, which comes very much at the end and it's very low key, is I'm super transparent. I say, if you want help with your marketing strategy, here's how to reach me. And the reason why I give the here's how to reach me is I find that when speakers and or content generators do not supply you with a way to reach you or a way to get more of this help, that you're doing them a disservice and yourself a disservice. Because confused minds are not able to find you, they're not able to buy from you, and they're not able to get the help that they need. So if you make it easy in this age of transparency and technology, if you make it really easy to contact you for the next step, if they found value and if the content and the messaging they'll trust, they're going to go to the next step and connect with you. And that happens to me all the time with my newsletter. It happens obviously at a very high rate when I'm on stages, when I do presenting, with my podcasts. That's the way, like I found that transparency is the way. Most of the content really doesn't have any call to action unless it's, some of them are, unless like it's a one-on-one on stage. But the other ones, like if you go on my website and if you look at one of my blogs, which this exact content is going to be turned into a blog, you'll have a pop-up, which is controversial, but it seems to be working for me. But the pop-up is actually asking people for a call to action, which is come and talk to me if you want more help around this topic. Okay. Lastly, I want you to rub shoulders with the giants in order to get messaging that builds a buyer's trust. So, what I mean by that is, I want you to be interviewing thought leaders around what you do in that industry. I want you to be seen quoting and or talking to or even taking pictures with or attending events with actual people that are trusted in that industry, large corporations in that industry, people who work for those large corporations. So name drop, name drop, name drop. Trust increases when you interview these known thought leaders, when you quote and share content around like education, so new legislation, fresh research, something that I do. And if you can get into their industry pubs, that's even better. So a lot of my clients, what they do is they do something called interview marketing, where they're doing this interview of the thought leaders and or their prospects. And it's what an amazing win-win if they are publishing these in the funnels and the channels that these buyers are reading and listening to and find themselves in and are networking in. So be on their podcasts and be in their LinkedIn groups and be in their industry publications. So be there on, and usually it's online now, but what a way to build trust. So that is my way to gain and stop breaking a buyer's trust with your messaging. I am a messaging coach, and I know because I've had my trust broken with messaging, with bad messaging, selfish messaging, salesy messaging, confused messaging, generic messaging for 18 years. And I am here to stop that. So if this sounds like something you need to do, you know where to find me. All right, everyone. We will see you next week. All the best.